let's talk about the Yankees signing a 2-year deal with Marcus Stroman. So there's a lot of layers to this. The fact that Marcus Stroman opted out of the last year of his contract with the Cubs, where he was going to make $21 million, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now he signs a 2-year deal with the Yankees, where he's making $18.5 million a year. So you can say, well, the Yankees got a pitcher with a 3.65 lifetime ERA, and they got him at a very reasonable price. But you have to ask yourself, well, why? The Cubs didn't want him back. The Mets couldn't get rid of him soon enough. The Blue Jays, who know him, didn't want him. Now, they've got pretty good pitching, so they wouldn't have wanted to. In a sport where people are absolutely desperate for pitching, where Frankie Montas, who literally pitched an inning and a third last year, he got $16 million from the Reds. Marcus Stroman signs at the Yankees for $18.5 million. Here's what it comes down to, and I thought it was completely encapsulated beautifully by Joel Sherman in the Post. It's two desperate people getting together. There was no place else for Marcus Stroman to go. I think he did want to play for the Yankees. The Yankees, they supposedly, I mean, it's out there right now, I haven't been able to confirm it, offered Blake Snell $150 million for 5 years, and he wanted another year, he wanted more money. Yankees said no. It seems like Jordan Montgomery doesn't want to play for them, and it would take too much to get Corbin Burns or Luzardo or Cease in any kind of deal. They desperately need starting pitching, so they decided to hold their nose and go and sign a guy who has completely obliterated them on social media, who has scrubbed his social media when all of a sudden this little dalliance with the Yankees came about, and boom, here you are, and we'll see. Now, let's look at the pitcher. 3.65 lifetime ERA in this day and age in baseball is very good, but he was 16-16 with the Cubs. He was 14-15 with the Mets. He was an all-star last year after a great first half. Then he pitched poorly. Then he was out with a rib cage injury, came back, and he pitched even worse. He cannot and has not pitched over 140 innings in a couple of years. So this contract also has an option year that in 2025, the second year of the deal, if he in fact pitches over 140 innings, then another year gets added on. If he decides to do it, if he pitches over 140 innings. Imagine that. So a team that has battled injuries over and over and over again has signed a guy who gets injured. 140 innings is kind of like the tops for him. Now, to tell you how desperate the Yankees were, everybody, he's the second pitcher on the staff. You got Garrett Cole and you have him. You have Garrett Cole and him. Yankee fan base, from what I could tell, not happy with this. He is warred with them on Twitter. Now, I'm going to give him a little bit of a break when it comes to him going to Brian Cashman. A little bit of a break. Brian Cashman said something nasty about him first. And then he said, okay, you're gonna come at me? I'm going to continue to go at you. And he did. But he gets into wars with fans. He's very, very sensitive. It's going to be very interesting to see how he handles the spotlight of being a New York Yankee. It's different than being a Met. And I don't know if this is going to end well. I think it's a signing of desperation, and let's see how it works out.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you still agree? You're where you were at yesterday, that it's a signing of desperation. And to me, where I was going with, and I'm curious how you feel about it, it's just sort of one of those moves that doesn't feel Yankee-ish to me, Michael. It seems like they are getting to a little bit of a space of compromise. Of like, we have to figure out how to do something different. We don't know how to exactly. And they made a big move. As you said yesterday or 2 days ago, they thought they'd have a shot at Yamamoto. They didn't. Ended up a complete swing and a miss. So now it feels a little bit, as you said, desperate, which I guess to me what I'm saying is just doesn't feel Yankee-like to feel desperate.
Well, I mean, the problem is, though, Peter, I mean, you can't bring people that you don't think are, like, going to fit into the Yankee structure, right? And expect them to do it. They expected Josh Donaldson to play nice and be this great guy, and he didn't fit. And most of all, he didn't play well. So, I mean, you can't fit square pegs into round holes. So, listen, Stroman is a good pitcher when he's healthy. He's 32 years old. His velocity's gone down a little bit. He has a high hard hit contact rate, but the contact rate is on the ground, which is good for Yankee Stadium, but he has bad numbers lifetime at Yankee Stadium. They desperately needed starting pitching, and they do not want, and I don't blame them for not wanting to give Snell more than that. And if Montgomery doesn't want to come here because his nose is out of joint because they traded him, well, let's look at it this way. The Yankees didn't think that Montgomery would be in the postseason rotation. That's why they traded him to get Bader. Bader actually won them the series against Cleveland, got them to the American League Championship Series, but then was hurt last year, and they ended up trading him to the Reds. But Marcus Stroman, 5 years ago, Brian came out and said he wouldn't be a significant upgrade for us. He'd be pitching out of the bull. That was 5 years ago when he was 27. Now he's 32. So the price for Cease is too high in terms of players. The price for Burns is too high, although Milwaukee might not even try to trade him. It seems like Cleveland doesn't want to trade Bieber because they think they could win the Central. And then you're bidding against everybody for Snell, and you're bidding against everybody for Montgomery, and maybe you're bidding against Montgomery getting his nose out of joint. So you've got to have pitching, and they traded away all their depth to get Soto, and they're kind of between a rock and a hard place. Believe me, in a perfect world, they are not uniting with Marcus Stroman. I'm sorry, they're not.
No, but the money's right.
Yes,
he can pitch. He's a Gold Glove fielder. There's a lot of things he brings to the table. And Michael, if you look at his numbers in the postseason, now granted, he has not pitched in the postseason since 16, but he's gone 6 or beyond in every one of his 5 postseason starts, including a clincher against Texas back in 2015 when he was with Toronto. We're talking 7 innings, 6 innings, 6 1/3, 6 innings, 5 1/3. So he's giving you length in the postseason. He's a New Yorker. He's not going to wilt under the pressure of New York. He's got a bit of a complex where I don't know whether it's because of his size or what it is, but he is very sensitive to criticism. He's very defensive. He's very defensive about his team. And that's the place it comes from. It comes from a place of competitiveness, proving people wrong, and maybe that's what the Yankees are buying into. Here's a kid that always wanted to pitch for the Yankees. His problem with the Yankee fan base and the Yankees was that the Yankees didn't want him, so he wanted. We're cool with what you did, and the fan base will be cool with what you did if you go out there and you pitch well. But you're going to have to kind of control yourself on social media because you're a Yankee now, and we're not going to tolerate that kind of behavior. And one of the reasons you're only signed for $18 million is because a lot of the teams don't know how to control you. We think we can. So you're where you belong. You're back home. You got a chance to win a championship, and we're not going to tolerate any kind of behavior. And if they can control it, I think this is a really good signing.
Well, to get a pitcher with a 3.65 lifetime ERA for $18 million in this market is good. Mm-hmm. But then, again, I know what Don's saying. You have to ask yourself, well, why is he available for that price? Because every other team is scared off by all the other nonsense. Now, for those that don't know and might be new to the show, there's an issue between me and Marcus. So I've always been a fan of Marcus's pitching. And at one point on the show, I criticized his use and his battles on social media. I essentially said that doesn't help you win, and it does. He's punching down. He doesn't need to do that. So people on social media can't wait to tell the person that I'm saying it about that I'm saying it. Maybe he's not listening to the show, and he goes out and he finds. I guess he Googled me, and he found some fan out there who essentially said that I was a racist because at the time I'd been doing the show 21 years and I'd never had a black co-host. And I always joke about this. I don't hire the people I work with. I work for people who hire the people I work with. The guy who I've done the show with my entire time here, I didn't even know Don. And they hooked us together. I didn't go out and seek Peter. I didn't know Peter existed before he joined the show. Far. I didn't. I don't listen to hip-hop stations.
Oh, boy, I know. I hear you.
So, I mean, I have nothing to do with... And the fact that he did that he could so cavalierly, somebody he's never met, and then he retweeted that tweet that guy had out there, that I'm a racist. I don't know if you get out from, somebody said to me, well, how are you going to deal? I don't have to deal with him. I have to announce him fairly. He does well, I'll say he does well. He does poorly, I'll say he does poorly. But unless he comes up to me and says, listen, I was wrong, I've got no situation where I have to sit down and talk to him. I didn't do anything wrong. I said he shouldn't be using social media that much. And I'm sure the Yankees have said that as well when they had to sit down with him. But to accuse somebody of that, something so repulsive, that somebody could be a racist, and he'd never met me, never had a conversation with me, that really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. He's a Yankee now. When he takes them out, I've got to announce the games. Doesn't mean that they're really a relationship with him, but that's one of the reasons that a guy that is this level of pitcher got $18 million a year when Yamamoto has never thrown one pitch in the big leagues, is making about $30 million a year, where Jordan Montgomery is going to make $27, $28 million, where Blake Snell is going to make over $30 million a year. Marcus Stroman got $18 million, not because of his talent, because he's pretty damn talented. Every other team is scared off by that.
Right, and you would think Marcus is smart enough to realize when they sit him down and say, did you see how much money you cost yourself? Because look at the pitchers that have numbers that aren't nearly as good as yours, making way more money than you. You're going to have to stop this. You're back where you belong. You're home. You're with the team you grew up rooting for, supposedly. You wanted to be a Yankee so bad, we're going to put a stop to this. And we'll see if he agrees. I mean, they can't tell him not to be on social media, but all you have to do is present the facts.
It's Don. I say this as someone who has tons of problems with social media and also cannot get off of it, right? So for me, I relate to this. Now, I don't get myself in the places, knock on wood, that Stroman does, but I understand. But that being said, someone writes you a check for $18.5 million to do your dream job. Can't you just think, I don't need this? For the whatever it's going to be, guys, 6 months, 2 years, maybe it's amazing. It's 4 years. Whatever it is that he ends up being a Yankee. Don't you think it would be worthwhile to just say, I am just signing out of X and moving on? I'm going to play baseball. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to see the fans at the ballpark. I'll meet the people that I meet. I'm not going to read it. Because if he does that, if he just completely left this part of it alone, guys, I don't think he'd have a problem here.
Think about the guys on the Yankees. Big stars, right? Judge, Cole. Have you ever seen Cole post anything of any contrary? His wife posts pictures of him playing catch with his son.
Right.
Judge posts stuff about his charity. Who on the Yankees is using social media as a provocative form of communication? You're a Yankee. You don't need that. And I'm sure supposedly he had to sit down with Brian Cashman. And again, of all the things that he did, going after Brian Cashman, to me, you can almost say it's warranted. Brian Cashman said something nasty about him. So he said something nasty about Brian Cashman. But again, he's the type that if you say anything about him that he doesn't like, and I also appreciate that, but to make up something, I can only talk about me, to make up something about me when he hadn't met me, something so libelous as if to and he could say, well, I didn't tweet, I just retweeted
Kyrie defense.
Sorry, babe. You retweet something. It's confirmation that you agree with that.
But he's probably a modern day Jordan in the fact that he uses all of this as fuel. This is a kid that was drafted in the 18th round by the Washington Nationals, and he made it to the bigs. He's 5'7", guys. How many pitchers are 5'7"? So he has overcome tremendous odds. He's probably been told his whole life that he can't do what he's doing. So so he keeps score. Of all the people that tell him he stinks, all the people that tell him he can't do something, his problem is instead of using it as fuel and not making it public, he wants to go back at you, or he's going to block you, or he's going to do something to let you know he doesn't like you, and he doesn't like the negativity. But you can't say it hasn't worked for him in the sense that if he's using it as fuel, he's overcome the odds to become a really good pitcher in this league. He just has to learn to balance it out, and I think the Yankees will help him do that.
That's one way to look at it. He's a big league pitcher for a long time. He also took a lot less money than his numbers would warrant. That's it. That's what was out there. $37 million for 2 years. This guy's a $25 million pitcher in terms of talent.
Right. So wouldn't that be enough? Hey, this is what it cost you. So let's tone it down. You're here. You wanted to be a Yankee. You're a Yankee. The guy that ripped him, Brian Cashman, signed him, so that should be all forgiven now. And you got to get out in front of it because I'm sure he's going to have a bad outing or maybe get off to a slow start, and he'll hear it. He'll hear it from the fans at the ballpark. He'll hear it on social media. That just comes with it.
You know what we should do? We should get him for a weekly.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be awesome. Now, another thing with him, he's a real performer on the mound. So there's a video that's out there. You know, when Juan Soto takes a pitch, he does this almost like an electric slide with his feet. And Stroman struck him out last year with the Cubs. And he does that same thing that Soto did while he was walking back to the dugout. Like he's doing that's going to rub people the wrong way. It's going to put Yankees in danger as well. You could say, well, let the kids play. I'm all for it. Tell the kids that. Because other players don't like that nonsense. And a lot of Yankees did it. The Jabba Chamberlain did it. A lot of Yankees do it. Nestor Cortez does it every now and then. But for the most part, a lot of Yankees don't do it. You don't see Garrett Cole do it. So is that going to change? I don't think that's going to change because that's how he fuels himself.
No,
that's how he fuels himself.
He's a strange bird. He really is. And
he's a different bird. Let's put it that way.
Well, but you know, it's different for sure. But what he did to you was wrong. Now maybe his attitude would be, I didn't read the article. I just saw something negative and put it out there. I don't know. But he's got to learn that you get into these situations, it's not good for you. It's costing you money. It's not going to be good for the Yankees. Because you're right, Michael. Cubs are a big team. Mets are a big team. Blue Jays are a big team. But they're not the Yankees, and they're not going to have the attention. And you're going to go in to a season with the New York Yankees where it's win or bust because of the Soto situation, and unless they sign somebody else, he is their second starter. It's Cole and Stroman. If they get into the playoffs, game one is Cole, game two is Stroman. It's amazing. I mean, it's the level in which it's going to be expected of him. And this is on the Yankees as much as is it on him. You know, not that they control players with the Yankees, but they've shown better than any other organization that they can get players to follow their code.
This is a 3:45 a.m. in the bar signing.
This is the version
looking around the bar, see what's left.
This is sports beer goggles.
Yeah.
Now, but to your point though, it sounds like what you're saying though is that without all the extra stuff that's made Stroman controversial, it wouldn't be like talent-wise. Should it be a 3:45 signing?
But I'm sorry, you know the other stuff counts.
But
especially with the Yankees.
But think about this, guys.
No, but obviously, Peter, for other teams, where were the other offers?
Yeah,
but you know, what did Steve Young always used to tell us about how you good teams police themselves, right? Like good organizations say it's not going to be a problem because we're not going to allow this to happen. Like the Yankees probably have enough of a resume to say that we believe that players will fall in line if they come here. We're the one organization where we make you shave if you come here. We don't have names on the back. There's certain things we don't tolerate here, and because of their winning and because of their popularity, they're the one organization that can get away with it. Maybe it's a sense of arrogance, but aren't they the one team that can look at it and go, I don't think this is going to be a problem with us?
Well, you know what? Well, first of all, Juan Soto on Instagram, you know, MLB Network put out the Stroh versus Soto shuffle. And Soto commented and said, we shuffle together now. So that puts that to bed. Now, obviously, I have not met this signing with joy or exclamation points on how good it is. And there's a good chance. I mean, this is the way the world works. I'm not lying here. That I can get a call from the Yankees. You know, what are you doing? And I'm going to say, you know what I'm doing? Guy called me a racist. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I don't particularly like that. I've been called a lot of things, and I am a lot of things. One thing I'm not, I ain't a racist. Sorry. And for somebody to even insinuate that by retweeting some brain-dead person on Twitter, it's hard for me to accept.
Well, and if I recall, it was like pandemic-ish. You're talking like 2020, 2021, a time when like there was a lot going on, a lot of things being thrown around about different people, and to just randomly cavalierly do that to someone who you just know he didn't know anything about, you know what I mean? It was whack. There's no way around it.
We want to send birthday wishes out to, I would say he's one of the top 5 listeners that we have.
Easily.
Brian Francis Neary.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Great guy.
51 years old on Sunday. We're not doing a show on Sunday. So he and his wife watch the show every single day. And so we want to send out some love and birthday wishes and have a wonderful, wonderful birthday to Brian.
Brian, I tried to get us to do the show on Sunday. Michael and Don were not willing. I said, we'll just do a Neary birthday show while watching the game.
Right.
And they said they had family plans. But happy birthday, buddy. By the way, speaking of the football on Sunday, you know what? I'll tell you later. We got to go to break.
And we'll take some phone calls as well. Also, it's ESPN New York Superbox Bonanza 5. We're giving away over $10,000 in cash and prizes. All qualifiers will get a $25 Fanatics gift card and a chance at one of 10 Superboxes with prizes including a big screen TV, Nintendo Switch, MetaQuest, and much more. Get your box for the big game by listening to DPH1 Rothenberg from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., Bart and Hahn from noon to 3, and the Michael K. Show from 3 to 6:30 for a chance to win $500 in the first and third quarters, $1,000 at halftime, and a final score payout of $2,000. All brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Now, for full contest details, go to superboxbonanza.com, and we will give away that first box a little bit later on in the show. Your phone calls next, then we break down the big wild card games. It's Kay LaGreca, Rosenberg, and you. But first, Don's going to tell you about BetMGM. So Jordan Hicks, there were some rumors that the Yankees and the Mets might be interested in him coming out of the bullpen. One of two pitchers that averaged over 100 miles an hour with his pitches. The Twins, Johans Duran, was, I think, at 103, and Jordan Hicks was just over 100. So he signed a 4-year, $44 million deal with the Giants, and they're turning him into a starter. Kind of interesting. Think about it. If you gave him $44 million for 4 years, that's a pretty cheap bullpen piece. So I'm surprised that maybe he wants to start, and other teams didn't think his arm could hold up, but we'll see. Gerard Mayo, the Patriots pivoted quickly. He is the new head coach of the New England Patriots. Let's take some phone calls, 1-800-919-3776. So let's go to Dan in New Jersey to start off. Dan.
Hi, Michael, Don, and Peter. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm very intrigued by this Yankees Marcus Stroman signing because I think he's an ultra-talented pitcher, and the way he was pitching to begin last year, I thought he was actually a trade candidate for the Yankees, and I think they were linked to him in that way. But I do want to wonder if he's the only thing, or are they going to get Hader? Are they going to pivot to another bat? What is the other thing that's coming? What's the move that's coming from Brian Cashman? Because I don't think this team's a World Series winner, and I still think they need a little bit more to do.
Well, I think they need another starter. Right now, Dan, and we thank you for the phone call, your number one pitcher is Cole. Number two, you hope, is Rodon. Number three is Stroman. Number four is Nestor Cortez. And number five is Clark Schmidt.
Right.
And it's not murderer's row, especially the fact that Rodon and Nestor, total question marks. Coming off last year, Nestor with a shoulder, was that ever resolved other than rest? And then, Rodon was out for the first half of the season. Then the last start where he turned his back on Matt Blake, that wasn't a good ending to the season. I still think there's something in there. I think he's a good pitcher. And if he returns to what he was the previous 2 years to last season, that's a great number two starter. So a lot rests on that. But I think they still need another starter. And if not, they've got to pivot, maybe build up the bullpen even more.
But is there any starter out there where if they signed him today, you'd go, okay, that's it, we're set?
Snell and Montgomery.
That's it. And Montgomery's not coming here, and Snell's going to cost a fortune.
Right.
So I understand what the caller's saying about, we need to get over the top. I just don't know what's out there. I think that's why they were aggressive to get Stroman in the first place, because he ended up becoming the cheaper option. And there wasn't going to be, I think, any multitude of pitchers that they were going to go get. There wasn't a lot to choose from, and whatever was better than Stroman was going to be significantly more expensive.
Teddy in the Bronx. Teddy, talk to us.
What's going on, Michael? Mike, I got to call up to vent to you. I do not like this move at all. I don't like this move. I think it's a terrible move. I don't know what Cashman in the front office is thinking. Stroman's a fraud. He's a fraud.
He's not a fraud as a pitcher, though, Ted. He's not a fraud as a pitcher.
Yeah, not as a pitcher, but as a person. I mean, you can't claim you're from, he goes on Instagram, this is home. No, it's not home. You're from the sticks out on Long Island. You know, like you're not Andrew Velasquez. Like, that's home to him. It's just not home to Marcus Stroman. I don't like this move. I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. And as a Yankee fan, a diehard Yankee fan, a true Yankee fan, I'm angry. And all these new generation Yankee fans are trying to make excuses for it. No, there's no excuse for this. This is unacceptable. I don't know what we're doing. It really is a disaster waiting to happen. That's what it is.
Yeah, but Teddy,
Cashman anymore. Teddy, I don't get him.
Okay, so you don't trust Cashman. We thank you for the call. You don't get it, but you do. They're desperate for pitching.
But that's what he doesn't like, and I understand that.
All right, the disaster. Well, I wish he was still on. Well, explain to me the disaster. All right,
I can explain.
Go ahead, Peter.
I can give it to you.
Well, what's the disaster?
And by the way, to defend the guy's point, I mean, Stroman is from currently. If you were to try to get to where Stroman was from, it would take you 2.5 hours to get there. But the disaster is he comes in. He's an average pitcher. He's not. You don't get the best version of him. You get the more mediocre version of him, which we have seen in extended spots before. He absolutely melts down with the fans. Before you know it, all the conversations are about what he said. It's a complete distraction without good pitching, and it's not to feed into the stereotype, Don, because I know it drives you crazy that the Yankees and Yankee fans think they're holier than thou. But let's just be real. It ends up feeling all very beneath the Yankees, and it just looks like a nasty mess by a desperate team who wanted to add someone who they previously didn't think was good enough, is now several years older and more expensive, and now he is good enough.
But listen, any free agent signing that doesn't work out on the field can be deemed a disaster. But he can pitch. And these distractions that he has created, there hasn't been any evidence that it's affected him on the mound. If anything, it seems to motivate him. Now, can you see the Yankees allowing this to become a disaster, that he's an uncontrollable player that's going to be a disruption in the room? I mean, when does that ever happen with the Yankees?
Well, the Yankees have really one of the top guys that handle media relations, Jason Zillo. Jason's going to earn his money. I mean, I guess a team that has the right to tell a player not to have a beard, I guess they have a right to say, I want you off social media. But they're going to have to watch it closely because he's really sensitive, and the first time he gets booed or has some kind of altercation in the clubhouse with one of the writers, not good.
But when has that ever happened with the Yankees?
But hold on. I'll respond to that, Don, with when has a move like this happened with the Yankees? That's what they're worried about. You're right. That stuff doesn't happen with the Yankees. Donnie, and neither do desperate moves like this.
Domingo Germán supposedly threw a couch last year before they finally said enough is enough. It happens, but it happens behind closed doors.
But that's my point, Michael. I'm not saying that something isn't going to happen, but when has a player been uncontrollable where it allows it to be a disaster or it affects the team on the field?
Come on.
Now, there's been...
then he really hurt the team.
And he was suspended.
Yeah, but that hurt the team. That was a disaster. They needed him as a pitcher.
Well, he's still here.
No, he's not. He's gone.
Well, but you're talking about you say Domingo Germán?
Domingo Germán, he's gone.
But how did it bring the team down that you're going to say that it's a disaster?
Did you see who they ran out there as starters in the second half of course they needed him. It was a disaster.
I guess what he's saying about a disaster, like, is his social media going to bring this team down?
No.
Well, it's let me. Disaster is obviously a lofty word, but I think what he's saying, Don, is poor play and loud distraction together would equal disaster. But he doesn't mean it would literally end the season. But, Michael, don't you think that's a fair way of putting it? That would be a disastrous conclusion. You sign a guy to $18.5 million a year. He doesn't play well, and it becomes a huge loud distraction.
Because he has to make about 28 starts. If he doesn't, that's really tough.
But I don't think there's been an example, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on social media or call up, where he has taken that to the field and he's been a disaster on the field.
No.
I mean, there are times that usually a lot of his stuff happens when he feels he's being disrespected by the team he was on, or he gets released and he goes scorched earth. But during the course of the season, has he ever done anything that has been a distraction to him or the team he played for?
Not that I know
if the Yankees ever release him, get ready. He'll kill you. All right? And if fans go after him, he'll go after you. But he's going to go out there and he's going to pitch his 6 or 7 innings and he's going to do well. And I don't think the Yankees will ever let it be something where it's going to bring them down to where they're going to pull him off the field or trade him devalued or cut him because of this. They won't allow that to happen. Most of the stuff that he's really gone scorched earth is during the offseason or after he's felt that he was disrespected by the fan base or the team that he was on.
Well,
but during the season, has there been anything that would be categorized as a disaster?
But Don, you're kind of familiar with this fan base. They're upset when they lose in the ALCS. You're kind of familiar with them, right?
I'm very familiar with them. I'm very familiar with them.
You think they'll give this guy a soft landing after the stuff he said about them on social media? He's blocked half of Yankee Nation.
Right, so those are people that won't be able to get through to him now. And I don't think the Yankees will let it escalate to where it's going to be a major problem. So has there been any examples? And listen, he paid for the Mets.
No, there has not been examples, Don.
Where the fans went after him in real time and it affected his play.
Who knows what affects somebody's play? The second half of the season was abysmal for him with the Cubs. He stopped being on social media. He stopped tweeting in July. He didn't want to hear it, obviously. He was terrible in the second half of the season and injured. But then when he came back, he was awful.
Well, but that's another thing. But I don't know if that had, but you said he shut down social media, so it probably didn't have anything to do with that. And Cub fans don't get on you the way Yankee fans will get on you. He just had a bad close to the season. That probably cost him as much money as his social media stuff. But to that listener who says that this is going to be a disaster, disaster just seems way too strong for me. They won't let that happen.